now. Again, thanks for joining everyone. My name is Andrew Dodds and I'm your host here at Workflow Live, where we take a look at how to automate a process within your business without writing a single line of code. And today we are looking at automating invoicing advanced. So to get us started, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. And I've got our Airtable base. So for those of you that followed along last time, this will look familiar. I've got an outline just to ground us in what we're looking at, okay? So let's first recap. We're gonna do an overview of the solution we talked about last time, okay? So last time we went through and created a system that when we inputted the invoice information, it would populate here in the Page Designer app, giving us a really good way to charge for our services, add all that up, automate the entire process, right? So that worked well. And now we're looking at how do we take this a step further, because the weakness in this entire thing is that I would go through here, it creates an automated invoice number for me. I can select my customer, the services and products that have associated prices. Those will automatically calculate. I have a status, date. It's giving me a subtotal. As you can see, I can add in my percentage of tax and we get our tax edition. And this is all great. And now we can find it. This is invoice 14. We can find it in the Page Designer app here. Okay. So we've got invoice 14 automatically generated. But in order to get this out to the client, in order to get this out to the customer, I have to go through a few clicks to download the actual document. And then I've got to re-upload that document here in the invoice copy. So what I'm going to be showing you today is how you can avoid that entire download re-upload process, giving you a more streamlined version of the system. Now, it does involve a third-party tool, but I'm going to demo this for you right now to show you how quick and easy it is. And then I'm going to talk to you about this new tool. And it's called Zapier. You're going to need a paid version of the account. I think it's only like 14 bucks a month though. And this isn't the only thing it can do. And we'll talk about it in a moment. It's something you'll use in your automations all the time. So well worth the money. I would pay probably 4 times what I pay for it to use it. Okay, so within the new way of doing things, you'll fill out everything the same way, but you're going to want to create a button called Generate Invoice. Okay, we're going to talk about how to set this button up in a moment. But the way this is going to work is you get that auto-generated number. We still are going to tag our customer from the customer table and the service, adding those if they don't exist. And we are still going to want to fill out our information here. Okay. So far the same. Now here's where it differs. We're actually going to hit this button, Generate Invoice. And you'll see we get what looks like gobbledygook. It's okay. It's passing information to Zapier. We can go ahead and close that. What's happening behind the scenes is it's using a Google Doc template to input our information into that, put it in a folder for us for that customer, and upload it back into this invoice field. As you can see here, we now have an invoice for $642. Okay, so one thing I should mention is you want to make sure you have the correct information tagged here, or it's going to show up incorrectly as far as your company information. So you want to make sure that you've tagged that it's your company that you want to populate with the information. Now, You can use an automation to do that, and I went into detail on how to run that properly um, when you do so. Okay, so that is the situation there. All right. So let's look at how you can do this. Okay, and what you have to do. So as I mentioned, you're going to want to get a a Zapier account. Okay, um, and so you'll notice that we're getting these automations working all of a sudden now. So if we go through and generate the invoice, let me just show you what it looks like filled out. Okay, so it sends what we call a webhook, and just watch this field right here. We will get our updated document attached, and now we have the proper information here. Okay, all right. So let's look at it. So you're going to need a Zapier account. I'm going to pull Zapier over and show you how we go about creating this. Okay. All right. So first, an overview on how to create this automation and the steps that it's going to go through. So the very first thing is you're going to create a trigger. And that trigger is a catch hook. It's a webhook. And basically what that is a URL that will send information to Zapier. Okay. So we're going to have a URL in our Airtable on that button field that's going to send the information about our record, our invoice, to Zapier. Okay. So that's going to happen. We're going to find a record in Airtable. Okay. Once we do that, which was the record that we were sending information about. We're going to take that record and we're going to format the numbers so that they come through as currency and not some weird, long string of characters. We're going to find a folder in Google Drive that is named the same way as the customer. And if it doesn't exist, we're going to create that folder. And then we're going to create a document from a template in Google Docs. And then we're going to update the record in Airtable. So all told, this is 8 steps in the automation in the Zapier, and I'm going to show you how to set these up step by step. So log into your Zapier and let's get going. Let's get cracking. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do, find webhooks by Zapier. Your event is going to be the catch hook. Okay. And you can leave this empty. You don't have to set up a trigger because we're going to put it on a button field in Airtable. And then you're going to go to test trigger. And you're going to get this. This is an automatically generated URL. This is the URL that we'll be sending information to. All right. And we're going to copy that. All right. Now back in Airtable, you're going to create a field. You can call it what you want. I called it generate invoice. The action is going to be open URL. And you're going to, let me make this a little bigger so you can see it. You're going to take that URL and copy it into quotation marks here. Okay, so you can see that there. And you're going to add an and sign and another quotation mark. And you're going to say question mark record ID equals in quotes and record ID. Okay, now this record ID right here is you're going to get by creating a field. So you probably had to do that ahead of time. I apologize for jumping the gun here. You're going to want to create a field called record ID, and it's using a formula within Airtable. See where we put it. Here it is. That is simply the record ID. So if you start typing that in the formula bar, this will come up, and then just go ahead and save that. That gives you a unique record ID for each record. So as they're created, it will automatically generate a record ID. Okay. And so what we're saying in this button is we have the Zapier URL and we want to give it the information called record ID that lives in our record ID field. Okay, so just copy this. And what that will do is every time we hit this button, it will pass that record ID information into Zapier. Okay. So that's the very first step. Second step is to find a record in Airtable. So you're going to select Airtable. We're finding a record. You'll want to set up your account, of course, and then we're going to set up action. Okay, so you're going to find your Airtable base. You're going to find the table. You're going to tell it you want to search by the record ID. Remember we did that earlier. And then you're going to click in here and you're going to click on the search value for query string record ID. That was the record ID we told it to bring in. It now has that information. So that's all we have to do. Don't touch anything else here. And with all of this, as you go along, you'll want to test the action. So go ahead and test the action. And that will test on some of the record data that you specify. You get a positive test, and we're moving on to number 3. So this is formatting the subtotal, the total amount in the tax, okay? So you're gonna find formatter by Zapier. The event is numbers. And we are going to format a number as currency, okay? And you'll just select your input value, which is what it is in Airtable. So you'll click on find a record in Airtable and find the value. In this case, for me, it was the field's invoice subtotal. We want it to be dollars, and we want it to be like this. So you've got your number signs with the comma separator and the period, okay? And you're gonna do the same thing for any other number fields that you have. So for me, I have a tax amount that I need to make look a lot less ugly than that, as you can see. And I've also got let's see what we got here, a grand total amount. So the tax plus, okay? So once we've done that, we are close to the finish line. The very next thing we're gonna do is find a folder in Google Drive, okay? So that's the event type. You're gonna find a folder, okay? You're gonna choose your Google Drive account to do that. And the folder name is going to be the customer name, in this case, Princess Leia. And I have it in a parent folder of invoices. So it will dynamically know, look for one with the customer name from that record in Airtable that we sent it. And if it doesn't exist, create that folder. What's great about that is we'll now create that document for Princess Leia in her folder. Okay, so you can see that here. Now, let's talk about the templates really quick. I'm gonna bring over my Google Drive. All right, so I have a folder called Invoices, and within that folder, I have a few of my customers, okay? And they have their own folders, and their invoices will be stored in here when they're created. You also want in this folder the template that you're gonna use. And a template, I've made it really simple here, but you can customize and make it look pretty fairly easily. And as you go through here, what you're gonna do is you're gonna create these dynamic fields. And you do that with 2 brackets on either side, okay? So that's where the dynamic information will come in, and you can use your static text and boxes and all that kind of stuff. Okay. So this is fairly easy to put together. And once you do, what you want is you want the, up here in the URL, okay, you can see everything after this backslash. You've got a long string of characters up to edit. You want to go ahead and copy that, okay? And back here, you'll see that's where you're going to post it, as this is the template document, okay? So that's how it's going to know what template to use. You're going to post that there. And then you're going to want it to be able to give you a document name. So what I've done here is I've said, take the invoice number from Airtable and the customer name. And the way you can do that is just by going back to your step, seeing what fields you have that are available, and building that unique name. Okay. And then the folder for the new document is going to be the one that we created earlier. So the way we get access to that is to click on custom, and you're going to come here to find a folder in Google Drive, and you're going to grab that ID. You'll see that right here. Okay. It's got a couple of other things you can do here, and then the fun part is it's going to pull in those bracketed dynamic fields that you put in your template, and you can come in here and from your second step and add in the corresponding value that you have in the record. Okay. Now the great thing is once you set this up, you'll see I'm pulling in the correct formatted currency amounts here as well. Cool thing is that once you have this set up, you never got to set it up again. It'll dynamically pull everything in. Okay. So that's how we do that. And then the final step is to update that record in Airtable. So this is the record we've been working with all along. But what we're going to do now is we're going to say we need that, from here as before. So invoice demo and the table invoice. We're going to update that record ID. And the only thing you're going to add in here is we're going to find that invoice copy field where that attachment lives. And you're going to find this document. And we're going to say there's an option here that's export links PDF. Okay, you're going to select that. Click continue. Okay, now remember, you want to test this along the way so that everything is on the up and up. But these are the steps. Okay, so just to recap what we've gone through here, we've essentially created a button field in Airtable that has the webhook that we got from our first step in Zapier that's saying, I want you to send over the record ID, which is this field here that uses a formula. It's just the record ID. And it's going to give that information to Zapier. And then we're going to find that record in Airtable with that value. And we're going to reformat the numbers that exist. And we're going to create a folder in Google Drive with the customer name if it doesn't exist, or find it if it does. And then in that folder, it will create our document, and we will update that document to our Airtable. Okay. Now, watching this is like poetry in motion. Okay. So let's go ahead and give it another run through now that you know how the sausage is made, as it were. Okay. So we're going to give some information here. Okay. That looks pretty good. We're going to go ahead and hit generate invoice. Remember, don't worry about this. This just means that it was sent successfully. And if we come back to our Airtable, we can see it happen here. Just watch that field. There it is. And we have our invoice. Now you'll remember that we have an automation here that now allows us to email this out to our customer by just clicking send. Okay. So all of that we just went through works very quickly, as you saw behind the scenes, in about 3 to 5 seconds. And we are now completely automated. I hope you got some value from this. This is one of my favorite uses of Zapier. Again, the plans are really reasonable, and you can connect all sorts of third-party tools to Airtable and everything else when you use Zapier. So definitely look into it. And we'll be using it in the future as well, and giving you ideas. So if you enjoyed it, please consider liking, subscribing. We've also got a Discord group for automation of Airtable, kind of mastermind group. If you want to join, I'm available on there for any questions you have. And thanks for taking a look today. Looking forward